life, as a reader, there are some books that you hear they're going to turn into a film and you jump through the ceiling, going, yay! Oh my god, you're going to do it! And then The Golden Compass happened. And I think we all wanted to put our heads in the oven after seeing that one. And this is my books on screen. This is beer. Hey ho. So, how do we start this? So, Philip Pullman, we're not going to talk about the overall trilogy because we're focusing on Northern Lights, the first book in Philip Pullman's His Dark Materials. To our American cousins, who would know it as The Golden Compass, which the only reason it actually got a name change is they were going to call it the Golden Compass Trilogy in America, and then someone didn't get a memo. Anyway, we'll leave the bugbear of geekdom that is the name issue for the film. If you're going to release it in the UK, at least give it the right title. They did it with Harry Potter. So New Line Cinema, after the success of Lord of the Rings, wanted to do a new fantasy trilogy. And they picked His Dark Materials by Pullman. Oh, it was a bad pick. I love this book, and Lyra, the characters, Lord Asriel, Mrs. Coulter, you know, there's a whole list. Yorick Bernison, there's this whole list of spectacular characters. And these beautiful, intrigued plots, and this sort of in-depth world, and this sort of questioning religion, questioning authority. And when the film came out, we got a adventure movie with some okay, if slightly cheap-looking CGI. So, first things first, I'm going to pick out the good. The good of the film version. And I have to admit, this is where I've downed already this is my second pint because of having to make this list. To be honest, it was very difficult. So with the good, I will say the visual design, the actual design, the set pieces, the world, the costumes, everything to me was the book on screen. That's how it looked in my head when it came out. When I read those books, that's what I pictured. Jordan College looked spectacular. I think the costumes were gorgeous. They weren't all perfect, but they were what I more or less pictured in my head. I also think some of the casting was good. Lord Asriel, Daniel Craig, Mrs. Coulter, Lee Salisbury, Yorick Bernison, all great actors that just really, really owned those parts and owned those characters and did it so well. And to be honest, actors that were completely wasted in this tripe of a movie. We start with that, and they're sadly the only good I can think of. So let's rip this film a new one, shall we? First things first, the purely on a filmmaking term, the pacing of this film was all over the place. You had characters that weren't getting enough screen time or enough story. The short having to chop the runtime down. They made quite some dramatic cuts, including the ending. The ending was shot. It was edited together. It was in the video game. And it was in the promotional material. It's not in the film. The actual film stops 3 chapters before the book. And the finished ending is pretty... the film, when you watch it, you're like, oh god. It starts moving and then stops. The studio used the excuse that they wanted a positive ending. But in getting a positive ending, you didn't give it a satisfying ending. It ends on a dark note, but that's the point. I do think a lot of it was studio interference. Also toning down the religious references and making them metaphors and questioning authority and making those metaphors was a cop-out. The acting of the lead actress, and I know she was a child, Dakota Blue Richardson, whatever her name was, you know, she wasn't Lyra. She was too pretty, she was too sweet. She didn't have that sort of feral kick that Lyra had. Then we come into it. The pacing of the film was also affected by some weird choices. Most of Lyra's experiences in London in the film were basically cut down to a montage where she runs away from Mrs. Coulter, where she runs away and goes to the Egyptians, was a montage. Quite important character building, quite important setup, building Mrs. Coulter as a character, getting to know this character, this quite cold, if very misguided woman was wretched out the film, and it fell flat because of it. Underutilization of major actors also didn't help, and there was also some other stuff that I think just left this film on the cutting room floor. It was a very poorly executed film, and I feel like, given the fact that New Line did Lord of the Rings, you would expect them to have some guts and not want to, but they didn't want to piss off the conservative religious people and ruined it. The film is a travesty. The film is a complete and utter travesty. It's a very weak adaptation. It's not well done. And it's such a wasted opportunity. If you want to see a spectacular adaptation of His Dark Materials, there is a play. There is a beautiful play that I've been very fortunate to see with Dominic Cooper playing a major character, and also a BBC series in the works, but we don't know anything about that yet, and I hope the BBC have more balls than New Line. The big teller for this film is that if you watch a lot of the special features, the making of stuff, a lot of the people talking about the film are not people involved in the production. It's people higher up, studio executives, and you see a lot of that in this. And it's very telling when you hear the lines, well, we think, which is usually a legal cop-out, not to piss anyone off. When it comes down to adaptation, I think it's difficult to do something with the scope of His Dark Materials, especially the last book, The Amber Spyglass, with the film that got rid of so much of the religious references. I wonder how the hell they would have handled The Amber Spyglass. Given that also one of the main characters happens to be an ex-nun who lost her faith and did a thing and become a scientist, and then you have Lyra with her sexual awakening. And you can read into that scene as what you want, although that is not in the American edition. If you read the American versions of that book, that is not there. It's reworded and toned down drastically. So again, the US version is censored. As a lover of that series and Pullman, I have to admit the Book of Dust is beautiful. And I have an amazing feeling what's coming with that. It worries me with adaptation of any novel that I love, but The Golden Compass was basically a failure and a massive fuck-up for the studio. So tell me, guys, have you read His Dark Materials? Have you seen the film? What did you guys think? Because I want to know with this one, because it fascinates me. Because this film, pretty much no one even remembers it. I mean, it's pretty much dead in the water. So yes, I will talk to you later, and I really hope you like this new series, guys. Bye.